Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the MMA Huddle with myself, Will, and John Boy over there, Niall Man. We are going to be here for UFC 244 to crown the baddest motherfucker on the planet as Nate Diaz faces off against Jorge Masvidal in your main event for the newly created BMF title, which I chuckle at every time I say, and John's a little bit, yeah,
Hate
we're
it.
just not sure about it. But it is what it is, and I'm just happy this fight's taking place after what happened last week with Nate Diaz and everything. So overall, this card is I think it's your best card. You've got of the year. 245 is a good one coming up as well in December. But this is a brilliant, brilliant fight card. Well worth your pay-per-view money, no matter where you are. I don't think in the UK they're doing the pay-per-view for this one, which is a little bit weird. Um, but yeah, before we get into breaking down some fights, like, comment, subscribe. We want to know your comments. We want to know your picks, your bets, whatever it is, your opinions. Drop them down in the drop-down box, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you've got any questions, drop them down there as well. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. But hit that subscribe button. You guys have actually been like awesome with the help of the growing the channel here, because we're up to like 835. Can't remember what our goal was at the start of the year where we'd love to be, but I think we've totally surpassed that by quite a bit. So we're on the run down to 1,000. So if you could help with that, or if you're new and you like the content here, just hit that subscribe button. You'll be inundated when you'll be updated. Sorry, when the videos go live and when John's interviews are going on as well. So just hit that button there, and if you can, give us a thumbs up just to help us, and the more thumbs up the better. We appreciate it. So thank you very much. Yeah, John, great card. We're looking forward to kind of sitting down and watching and talking about some fights, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, some sick fights, mate. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. There's matchups on there which people may not look at, but when you look a bit closer, they are match made in heaven because they're really hard to call. You and I have had a bit of a tough time, even after tape study. Sometimes tape study helps clear things in your mind a bit, but
Yeah.
man, even tape study alone, I still didn't. I was no better off, if I'm honest with you.
This is what I like about cards, though. Like, you obviously have your fight night cards where matchups tend to be a little bit easier, but then you've got this one here where there is abundance of fights where it's very hard to kind of pick between them, not unless you've got a super strong lean or a super read, or it's just well matched fights that have been put together. And I like seeing more like this. It's a bit harder. You've got to try and really knuckle down your predictions and try and find the spots where they can exploit one another. But it is a really, really, really good card. Like, and talking to how good this card is, the first fight on this card is Julio Arce against Mean Hakeem Dawodu, which I don't understand why you're putting this as the first fight in the card when it probably could easily be probably the headline or the prelims, or up there maybe just before the headline act on the prelims. But this is one of the better fights in the card, in my opinion. Who have you got?
It is a great fight, yeah, it really is. Stylistically, you got
Yeah.
um, Dawodu, who's starting to come into his own now in the UFC. He's starting to get his rhythm. Confidence is sky high. Striking is crisp. Beautiful combination work. And he's really shown that, like I say, in the last few fights, he's just kind of come on leaps and bounds. And Julio himself, he's a great guy. He's got a good chin. He's got wicked grappling. That guy gets on the ground. He's a motherfucker. But obviously, Dawodu's Hori fight and the Botchak fight was the ones where he started to really start to get a bit more confidence. You start to see him kind of grow. For me, I'm actually going towards Dawodu here. I think that conditioning is a factor. I think he's got good conditioning. He's got good free rounds in him. He's got a bit more patience with the grappling aspect. He's not too keen to shoot in and strike and overextend now. He's a lot more calmer when he's in that kind of range with his opponents. With Julio, I felt that he's susceptible to getting hit with those straights, and he does get dropped a couple of times. And if I'm Dawodu, I'm just going to try and keep it calm, keep the simple 1-2 combinations. Don't need to go anything crazy. Even negate, so to speak, the leg kicks in the case of the threat of a takedown. Maybe go for the head kicks to try and make him put his guard up to kind of resist the kind of temptation to shoot. Just hit those right straights, left straights, just kind of switch stances, cut the angles of Arce, and I think he's beatable there. I think, especially if you can snuff a couple of takedowns, he shows in the later rounds he starts to tire a bit, starts to gas a little bit. Even though he's come from a great camp, Julio Arce, it's a cluster of the boys again from the gym. But I'm going to go Dawodu here, mate. I think he's got the skill set here to really put a showcase on again, and I think he can nullify Arce's skill sets.
It's just a really good, well-matched fight, as we've seen before. You've got your kind of boxer and Arce against your kind of Muay Thai practitioner and Dawodu, and Arce's hands, to me, are really, really sharp. His combination's sharp. The way he goes from the body to the head, mixes in the high kicks, which we've seen last fight against the Rosa. The one thing that kind of puts me off with Arce a little bit is he can get bullied a little bit. If you watch the Shayman Moraes fight, he's pushed back a little bit, he's against the cage. A Rosa kind of does the same thing, but a Rosa's not in the same kind of level of striking or devastating striking as what Shayman was. And eventually, Julio, I mean, he took his fair share of blows in that fight, but he delivered some big shots. And then once Rosa started to become more aggressive and he opened up a little bit more, he could see the spots where he could take Rosa out, and eventually he did. He was throwing that high kick before that. He was just a little bit more fresh and could get the hand up. He just didn't see it coming this time and knocked him clean out. So that Golden Gloves boxing is going to come in handy here. You're going to have someone in Dawodu who I think his main attributes is, I think he's got a good kicking game. He can chop the leg a little bit. I think his combination striking is decent. He's more of a fights with his hands a little bit, but he's coming off also a head kick knockout himself, where he kind of clinched up with Jorge and caught him with a knee, and as the head was coming up, he threw that left high kick up and knocked him out. And the referee, I think, showed some mercy, because I think he could have continued, but he'd taken a lot of strikes in the late part of round two.
Yeah, coming up to it as well. Yeah, it's accumulation strikes.
But he started slow as well in that Jorge fight. To be fair, Jorge was running. When he was engaging, he was catching. I think he dropped Dawodu with a shot, with a straight right, and then put him down. But he was on the run, on the move the whole entire fight. And once he started to slow down, you started to see the great technical ability of Hakeem Dawodu. What I will say, if you watch Dawodu's last couple of fights, Joe Rogan, and this is the one thing that annoys me about Joe Rogan sometimes, he goes off on like a fighter and he doesn't even realise. So he's talking about Hakeem and I love Hakeem, and look at this, but he'll not even mention the other guy. He's did that with Dillashaw in the past, he's did that with a few other guys.
Yeah, I put it on mute, mate. When I do tape study, I mute the commentary.
Yeah, and sometimes I do that, but like I listened into a couple of that and it was just, yeah, he likes Hakeem a lot. Like I say, close match fight. I think I've seen some of the people I respect a lot in the betting community bet on Hakeem, bet on Julio Arce. I have a bet on this fight. I'll tell you at the end of this card who this bet I've got, but well, there's no point in saying, because
your pick's going to give it away, I hope.
My pick's going to give it away, so just I realised that's some dumb shit coming out of my mouth there, but I've got Julio Arce. I've got him as an underdog. He's plus 125. The line is tightened up. I think it's a pick and fight. I think it's going to be super close. I don't see either guy getting knocked out. I think Julio has actually a ground game advantage if he can get it there. He might struggle a little bit to get it there though. But we've seen Dawodu been hurting the feet before. Danny Henry caught him with a big shot and caught him in a submission and put him out. So, and we're in New York. Julio's from New York. I might have the judges on my side if it goes there in a close fight. Honestly, I could see it going either way. I've got Julio Arce via a very, very close split decision. I got him, like I say, plus 125. He's plus 110 now, so the money's coming in on him, and that's going to be a close to a pick 'em by fight time. So Arce for the win for me there. Moving on, Lyman Cyborg Good against Chance Black Eagle Rencountre. Another fun fight, another good fight. You've got two kind of varying styles. You've got the kind of boxing striker style of Lyman Good, who looks like an absolute cyborg. The guy's ripped, and he's always been like that. And then you've got Chance Rencountre, big welterweight, big dude, and very, very heavy with his grappling. He's a wrestler kind of by trade. That's what he wants to do. He doesn't really want to stand with people all too long because he leaves his head out there. I think he's a little bit slow in his attacks. We've seen Nadev kind of catch him with some shots there, but once he got his hands on him and established his grappling game, Nadev really got wore out with that very, very quickly, and Rencountre just took the back and was set in position and hit him with strikes and really just dominating from there. That's kind of how this fight, I think, is going to go. It's all determined if Rencountre can get those takedowns. So because we've seen, Rencountre, Damien Maia are completely different guys. I think that Lyman Good in that fight with Maia, I think he froze up, but he realised like when Maia was on his back, I cannot do anything about this guy. Like I can't do it. He's just so high level, and we've seen guys like that in the past that have been up with Maia, like where you just can't. No, you can't answer the questions he's delivering pretty much, and that's. I don't think. I think if Rencountre was to get those positions, I still think that Good would have more of a chance of getting out than what he would if Maia had him there. But Rencountre, to me, he looks a really good grappler, strong base, and hard to kind of get off you. Like I say, I think Lyman Good's path to victory is outboxing him. I'm still a little bit iffy with his kind of mentality in the cage. The Gillespie fight sticks in there where he's like saying, I don't want to get knocked out. That's the wrong thing to be kind of projecting in a fight, in my opinion, especially when you're still in the fight and you've got an opportunity to win it and you don't show that you're scared. And it's a tough fight for me to pick again, but I am going to go on Rencountre side. I think he's going to do enough over the 3 rounds. I think he's going to get takedowns. I think he's going to be have some top pressure time where he accumulates some time on top or on the back or whatever in this fight. So I've got a chance for Rencountre to be another very, very close decision there.
Well, I am going to take a chance on chance as well, mate. I am going that way too. I just feel a grappling aspect is a bit of a factor after watching Lyman's kind of past and his fights in outside the UFC, never mind just in the UFC. I feel like it's still one of his major kind of Achilles heels. He still has it. If he could just really button down and just get that takedown defense in, I think it, like you say, he'd have a lot of success on the feet. He has got good power. He's got good pop. Like you say, he's really thick set. He hits a good crack. But chance for someone that tall is really good at getting guys down. He's really good at level changing. Really good at getting inside and getting guys down. And he's got a good relentless kind of takedown aggression about him. You know, it's exhausting. His aggression and constant kind of will to take you down. It's exhausting in itself. And I think even though he's not Damien Maia, like you say, Will, I admit, I think even when he's on top, he's just going to exhaust good, you know, he's just going to get good tired. Then that pop goes in good shots, and just constantly keeping good on the back foot is going to be a big factor. Good is he's very good, he's very effective, when he's going forward, when he's coming forward from the strikes. Coming back, it's not some guys have got good skill sets on the back foot. Lyman's not bad, but mate, I'm going chance as well. I think he should be able to rinse and repeat 3 rounds of hard ground and kind of ground and pound and grappling kind of aspect here.
Up next, we've got Katlyn Chookagian with a 12-2 record, facing off against Jennifer Maia, 17-5-1. Who have you got in this one, John?
Well, I'm not really that fussed about this fight, but I'm going to go with Katlyn. I don't think anyone's really that fussed about this fight. I was a bit surprised about the matchup, if I'm honest with you. I thought they might have waited and done Katlyn against Shevchenko. Might have waited till like maybe the January card or something, but obviously I don't know, it's a PR thing with Katlyn because she is from that kind of New York, Boston, wherever it is area that she's from. So it makes a lot of sense to kind of put her on that card. And I'm sure she'll be fine for a January turnaround if required, or February turnaround to fight Shevchenko. I'm not overly fussed about the fight. I think the skill set on Katlyn is good. I don't think she's world class. She just has an output that kind of catches judges out. The kind of noises that she throws, you know, her success rate on the striking. Some of the shots aren't even that. They're not even really landing, but somehow the strike metric they think it lands. I couldn't really care less about the fight. I think Jennifer Maia is not a bad fighter. You know, she has a disadvantage when it comes to the kind of wrestling side of things. On the feet, I think she'll just get outstruck. I think Katlyn's just going to be longer. She's going to use the jabs and the straights and the front kicks, the kind of teeps that Katlyn uses. I just don't think I don't think she's got the skill set, the footwork, or the right kind of movement to get close. And I think should be able to keep it on the feet if needed. So it should be an easy kind of 3-round win for Katlyn, to be honest with you. Other than that, this fight is just not even worth being on the card. Yeah,
Jennifer has to get in close here. She has to be dogged and get in, like, land strikes inside just getting close on Chookagian, and that might be easier said than done because Chookagian, to be fair, she can fight at distance fairly well. She's usually got a reach advantage over most people. She has here. She's got a big height advantage as well. So, and she is good at fighting at distance and not absorbing as many strikes as what she looks like she is. She's one of those people. She's got a high output, but she never lands as much as she looks like she's landing. And she doesn't look like she absorbs all that much, but she actually kind of absorbs quite a bit. So I think the fight's made. It's all depending on where Maia wants this fight to take place. It'd be interesting if it goes to ground. I think both girls, from what I hear, are black belts. But
yeah, she'll train you at Henzo's, won't she? Yeah. So you can't go wrong with Henzo. Grace,
yeah. For Maia's from Brazil, and kind of most of Brazilians come out of there with black belts.
Her surname's Maia, so
yeah,
that's enough to scare anyone.
That's true. Yeah, it's all dependent whether Jennifer Maia can get inside the kind of wheelhouse of Chookagian and really hurt her, because I think she has to attack the body and then kind of go up top, and it might be easier said than done. She can maybe check those legs a little bit and try and get a couple of takedowns, power through, something like that. But for me, I've just got Chookagian winning a typical Chookagian fight, winning, like, fighting at distance, keeping the distance, and winning kind of close-ish rounds where you might think that Maia would win them, but probably Chookagian gets them. So I've got Katlyn Chookagian in that one there to win via a decision, a lackluster kind of decision, if I'm being honest with you. Next up, we've got the Pitbull, Andrei Arlovski against Biggie Boy, Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And this was one, when I first heard about this fight, I thought, I like this fight actually for Rozenstruik. I think this is the next kind of logical step after a 9-second knockout or whatever it was, Alan Crowder. And you've got Arlovski, who's no longer the kind of massive. Well, he is a massive name in the heavyweight division because of what he's done in the past.
Brand,
a name, and anytime you've got that there, you're like, I think the fighter must automatically think, right, that's the step up I need, and I get a win over Arlovski. I've got that on my record there for the rest of my life, and. But when you look at Rozenstruik, you've seen him against Junior Albini just lacks head movement, period.
Yep.
So you know where his head's going to be at. And against a kickboxing champion. Now, I don't know what his level of kickboxing really is, because he's a Suriname world champion, and I don't know what to kind of read into that. You can see that he's got some power, obviously. If I'm not going to discredit a guy that knocks out another guy in a UFC fight in 9 seconds, even though it was it was weird seeing that, but I still think he lacks in his grappling. Arlovski is by trade a grappler from many moons ago that kind of fell in love with his striking and then became a kind of well-rounded mixed martial arts where he did everything really well. Obviously, with Arlovski, he loses kind of more fights than he wins nowadays. But I think him going to American Top Team and them putting a game plan around him where, like, Mike Brown is a master tactician when it comes to game plans. He's really, really good. He's one of the best guys in the sport out now. Greg Jackson used to be a little bit like that, but he's kind of tailed off. And Mike Brown seems to be the guy that's really pushed the kind of working and putting a game plan together for a fight really, really well. Coming off the win over Ben Rothwell, where Ben Rothwell just kind of looks like that layoff has really killed any momentum that he ever really had.
Yeah.
The Augusto Sakai fight, that was close. I had Augusto winning, but if it went to Arlovski, I wouldn't really complain too much. I think he was a little bit unlucky in that one. He is still, if you can't knock this guy out, you're going to have a close fight with him. I think that's the kind of way I'm going with it. And I think that if he was to initiate some grappling here and just do enough on the feet, I think he's got an opportunity to win this one. Like I said, I'm not super confident in the pick, but I'm going to pick Arlovski to win like a very, very smelly decision. As long as he doesn't get caught with a strike that really buckles him, kind of makes him wobble all over the place, then I think he could win a very, very kind of smelly, lackluster decision. So that's kind of where I'm going. I'm going to go Andrei Arlovski via decision if he doesn't get knocked out, but big possibility with the power that we've seen from Jairzinho that he could get knocked out at any time in this fight, but I'm going to go Arlovski.
Yeah, I like that, Will, because I'm going Arlovski as well. I think that he is too shrewd now. You know, he had that kind of one blip, I mean that kind of like blip period where everyone was like, his chin's gone, that's it. Arlovski's done. And every time he fought, I was like, he's getting knocked out. He's getting knocked out. And he somehow just gets through these fights. And obviously, like you said, I think a lot of that is to be ATT. Even Mr. Mike Brown might have went, look, Arlovski, your chin ain't what it was. You need to change and adapt. And look at Junior Santos as well. He was at ATT. They changed his kind of heavyweight stylistic of fighting. They try to adapt it around what he can. Arlovski now is a little bit more cautious. He picks the kind of flurry of strikes at the right time to kind of engage the clinch, and doesn't always allow the guy to come back with a strike. He kind of closes him down with the combinations to kind of clinch up. Rozenstruik, he's hittable. He's really hittable. If you look at the Kovalev fight, or Kovalev, yeah. Dude was getting cracked, like, over and over again with an overhand right. The guy wasn't like an overhand right, sorry. It was a return right from the jab, and his right, he just kept landing. And I couldn't believe he was still standing, but then again I thought, well, how much power does he have? But Rozenstruik kept getting hit though, and that's a gap in his game. Arlovski, with a crew around him, they'll know that, they'll see that, and they'll be patient with. I think patience is going to be key. I think they'll tell Arlovski, just relax, keep your hands up, throw that right hand over the top. As soon as anything comes from that left hand side, you've returned back with a right. That right hand's there, And I thought Kovalev, if he'd just followed on with that, because what he was doing was, in the fight, he was landing the right straight, but he was admiring his work in the fight against Rozenstruik, rather than throwing the right hand straight, because you're close, whipping like a left hook right straight again, like a 2-3-2 combination. It would have been a lot more effective. I think Arlovski's got that skill set to throw it a bit more. I'm going Arlovski decision. I think he'll be able to land those strikes and then clinch up Rozenstruik, who I think will have a little bit of problems with someone like Arlovski. Arlovski's really good now at that clinch, dirty boxing, keeping it tight and grinding out the win against the cage. So yeah, I'm decision win Arlovski here, I think.
Moving on, Brad, supposed to be Shahbazyan against Jotko. I really like Shahbazyan in that side of things, but Tavares fight, very, very tough. How do you see it going?
Yeah, Tavares is a tough guy. He is your quintessential middleweight gatekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
He has never got any better, really. He's not really got to the depths that people thought he was going to get into. They thought he would get better and better, and there was this untold kind of potential in this kid. I feel he's never really got off it. I think he's just a safe fighter. He's going to win 3 or 4 fights. He'll lose 2 or 3 fights. He's never going to be a top 5 guy, if I'm honest. I don't see him being anything special. I just think Brad's there now as a gatekeeper for the likes of Edmen and other fighters to kind of come through, like Adesanya was. Brad was a tough. I had Brad when Adesanya them 2 fought. I thought maybe Brad had a bit more of the grappling aspect. I thought he could offer a bit more with that side of it. Completely outclassed. I just think that Brad just hasn't done enough to evolve in my eyes. I think he's coming up against a young buck in Edmen who is going to be uber keen, lots of enthusiasm, and I mean, that kid is just a ball of electricity, just flying around. He's got relentless pressure, relentless pace. I think striking-wise, I think Tavares is definitely the sharper and crisper of the 2 strikers. Edmen might not offer much in the ways of like something new to him, but I certainly think Edmen's got a huge opportunity here to get himself a good win, and get himself off onto a big mark with this. I think obviously beating Jack Marshman is not a bad win for you, but beating someone like Brad Tavares, kind of established middleweight in the division, is there, and I think Edmen could do it. I think Edmen could get the win. I think he could. I'm not saying he could knock him out, because he's been knocked out before, Brad. I think he is stoppable. I just find that he beat the guys. Brad's beat the guys who just weren't going to be the top guys. Like Talis Latis was on his way out, so there's nothing special about that win. Elias Theodoro, well, Elias isn't there anymore. Chamagalesh isn't there anymore, and Jotko as well. He stopped Jotko when Jotko should have just done more grappling rather than striking in that fight. But anyway, I'm going to go with Edmen, mate. I think Edmen can get the win. Wouldn't be surprised if he stopped him later on the rounds, but I think a solid decision win for Edmen would be good here.
Mm. It's the kind of next logical step up, I think, for Shahbazyan after these kind of two fights where he's ran through people. Because I'll be honest with you, the Darren Stewart fight, I wasn't overly impressed. I know he got takedown after takedown after takedown, and that's something that kind of happens with Darren Stewart, that you can take that guy down on numerous occasions, but you won't stop him from fighting. He fights the full 15 minutes, and that's what happened in that one. So that was a big cap, I think, in Shahbazyan. That's out of the three fights that he's had, that's the fight I'm most impressed with, because he clearly gassed big time in that fight. Or he got they had the bright lights on him, and it was the first time really being in the UFC octagon, and I think that maybe it got him a little bit, gassed him out. He jumped in too hard in that fight. He got the win, and then since then, I mean, he ran through Charles Bud. He got the knees to the side of the head. Then he went through Jack Marshman with relatively ease as well. So
Yeah.
a little bit surprised actually they've got a number beside his name. I think that's a little bit quick.
Well, you've had Luke Rockhold lead the middleweight
Yeah,
rankings and Weidman as well, haven't you?
it's just like three fights, and then you're giving him a number there. I'm not sure about that.
No.
This is the step up though against a guy, a legit UFC veteran, who is not the easiest guy at all to stop. Only the kind of best guys, I know even the best guys. I mean, from what I hear in the Adesanya fight, or what I heard that fight week, he was carrying a massive injury to his foot, on his knee as well. Fought through that, went 25 minutes with Izzy. It was obviously a big kind of striking disadvantage in that one, and Israel looked really great in that fight. But like I say, he's won 3 of his last 4. His last 2 losses are to the top 2 guys in middleweight, so you can't really take too much away from him. The one thing that worries me is his lack of activity in the last, well, I want to say 18 months. He's been out injured. He's not fought.
A few years, really.
Yeah, where Shahbazyan, I want to say he's been fighting pretty regular in the last kind of year or whatever, 3 times, 4 times maybe. So you've got that there. Shahbazyan's like, you still have to kind of pump the brakes on him. He's only 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Don't run this guy too quick. I still think you could have went a little bit slower than what you're going with him, by giving him something like Tavares. But obviously the UFC sees something in this kid that they really, really like. Or
Well, he's managed by Ronda Rousey as well.
yeah, comes from Ronda's camp, so Ronda might be pushing in the UFC's ear, like, get this guy, step up, da-da-da-da-da. But what we've seen from him is, in the last couple of fights, is if he continues on that path, he's going to be a very, very fun fighter, a very good fighter in the UFC for years to come. But when you look at someone like Tavares, very grizzled, been to decision many times. He's been in the UFC for nearly 10 years.
Yeah.
That threw me off. I was like, 2010 this guy's been there? It's like,
Yeah.
good 9 years, 9 and a bit years. That's a long time to be in the UFC and fighting through that, and fighting pretty regularly as well. This is probably the one time where he's been off for probably his longest maybe break in the UFC. Just a dogged guy himself, a tough Hawaiian fighter, decent on the feet. He's worked a lot with Race F over the years, and his striking can be deadly as well. I think his grappling, his takedown defense especially, is pretty good. I think it's like topping 80%. And if you're doing that over 10 years in the UFC, you're going to win your fair share of fights in there by stopping takedowns, because you're going to get plenty of chances, or you're going to have plenty of guys coming at you trying to take you down as well. But yeah, I've got Tavares in this one. Actually, I think that I like what I see from Shahbazyan. I just think this might be a jump too soon. I could be eating my words this time next week when Shahbazyan's come out here and absolutely blitzed him inside 3-4 minutes. But I'm going to go a very, very close decision for Brad Tavares to probably, it could be a split. It could be, I just think he's going to kind of give him this vet performance. Not saying that he's not had veterans before. You've had obviously a Charles Bud, still fairly new at the UFC. Jack Marshman, fairly kind of new, but you've got a guy with 9 years experience. I don't know how many fights that is. So what was his record when he came into the UFC? Let me see, 6-0, and he is now 17-5. So he's clocking in nearly 20 UFC fights. That's a lot of experience to be like come like for Shahbazyan to kind of go over. And he's a tough guy anyway. You don't really knock this guy out all too much. Boach got him. Whitaker obviously got him, but that was like 4 or 5 years ago that happened as well. I've got Tavares via a very, very close decision. Close fight, I think that will be. Next up, Chookagian Burgos against Makwan, Mr. Finland, Amirkhani. I've never been a big Makwan Amirkhani fan. And knows that. The guy's a bit of a pompous guy at times and thinks highly of himself, and that's fine. But when he puts out there for everybody to see and he talks major, it's just not. It seems to me a guy I wouldn't like to be around all too often or for a exceeding amount of time. But I do think he's a good fighter. I think that there's definite weaknesses in his game, but his strengths are really, really good. Like, he is a really good grappler, really good takedowns. I think if he was to really start to put it all together with his hands, he could become a very, very, very good fighter. But he's never really did that. Even in his UFC tenure, he's never really did that. I know he came out very quick against Ogle and knocked him out, flying knee. I mean, he's been in the UFC for coming on 5 years and he's only really fought 5-6 times. He should be having more than that, in my opinion. He's only losses to Arnie Allen, who Arnold's one of these guys that's very underrated, but people are starting to realise how good a fighter this guy really is. The Jason Knight fight, I was sat next to you.
Ooh, yeah.
Jason's brother. And I had money on Jason, and I thought he won that fight.
I did too.
Makwan's name, I was pissed. I was really pissed at that. But Jason Knight let him take him down, and Jason was just stupidly, and he does this every time, he's comfortable off his back, and he's losing rounds through that. So Makwan getting that split, when you look back at it in the arena, when you see it live, you're like, I think he did enough to win that fight. But when you go back and watch, like, Knight did really, he got far too comfortable off his back and really never got back to his feet, and that ultimately ended up playing the price on him. When you look at Fishgold, that's a better fight for someone like Amirkhani. Both guys who are grapplers. Someone like Fishy, who is very deadly with his submissions and good with his grappling, but he does gas a little bit. And when you've got someone on a similar level, which I think Amirkhani is, especially with his grappling, and the chokes that he's got, then ultimately they end up paying the price, and he got a beautiful submission in the second round. So this fight here, when you look at it, Burgos, striker, straight, pure striker. Got some jiu-jitsu skills, we've seen that in the UFC, but he's taken big shots before. He's been knocked down. Holloway knocked him down. Qatar obviously knocked him out with his hands. I don't think he has to worry about that with Amirkhani. He has to worry about getting taken down, because that's what Makwan's going to do. On the feet, it should be Shane's fight. Pretty simple Shane's fight. So it's where you see the fight going. I think if he can get takedowns, then he could lay heavy on top. If he doesn't, and Shane stuffs those takedowns, it kind of reminds me of the Macy Barber fight a couple of weeks ago, where if he stuffs, then he has to strike, and he is at a striking disadvantage, and the power and the combinations and the variance of his strikes is going to be too much here. He's going to be like a sitting duck, and eventually the ref's going to be pulling Burgos off him. So I've got Shane Burgos, maybe late second, early third round TKO, but betting lines off in this one, I think, a little bit. I think it could be line closer. I think there's a little bit of value with Makwan if he can get the takedowns, but it's a big if in my opinion. So I've got Shane Burgos TKO.
Yeah, it's a very interesting fight. I think Makwan showed with the Chris Fishgold fight, he had the same submission on it at the end of the first round and got it in the second round. So he kind of realised he had a little bit of an advantage with one area, found a way of getting back to it. I think it was more Fishgold just letting that happen, silly, not focusing. Because if you look at that first round, Fishgold was winning on the feet. You're landing the strikes, landing a good hit, landing some good strikes on Makwan. And obviously he went to the ground, but obviously because Fishy was going for that, it was guillotine he went for as well. Yeah, he went for a guillotine in the second, but Makwan was getting caught. But Makwan's been doing boxing a lot outside of the UFC, and that's something he kind of focused a lot on amateur boxing, but it doesn't necessarily always transition into MMA, because in boxing alone, if you watch it, their front leg is very heavy. So the movement's a little bit more restricted. You're not necessarily always thinking about elbows, knees and kicks. So your boxing is a bit different. The head movement, the range is different. I think Shane Burgos can absolutely take advantage of it. Shane's got a good takedown defense. That dude's got a strong takedown defense. He's got a nice little submission game on him too, off his back. You know, he doesn't wait. He just goes straight for it. I think that Makwan as well, he's going to be wise to it. But I think Shane's going to be able to stop the takedowns big time. I really do. I think he's got lovely 1-2 combinations, and he gets a good body shot in, Shane. He starts in the first round, he starts throwing those body shots, ripping the liver. And I really think he will in this fight. I think he'll start. Makwan's going to be backing up quite a lot, because Shane's an aggressive forward fighter, but I think Shane just has to cut him off, cut the cage off, get the distance, and then just start landing a 1-2 and hitting the body. Makwan's going to shoot in, a couple of snuff takedowns, and then Shane should be able to take control of the fight. I'm going to Shane Burgos in this. I think, again, his activity is a big factor as well. Shane's, very sharp when he gets going, and I think decision win, if not a late stoppage, but I'll probably go highly likely decision win for Shane Burgos.
Moving on to your headline fight of the prelims here. Light heavyweight division. Corey Anderson against the madman that is Johnny Walker. Johnny, the madman's a good way to describe him. How do you see this fight going?
Well, hopefully he doesn't fall over and dislocate his elbow when he goes or shoulder into the cage. He is a bit of an unknown entity, so to speak, if you think about it, because he hasn't had a lot of time in the cage. Was it like 3 minutes, if that? I think maximum, yep. Not even that in the cage in the UFC. So if you're, obviously there's fights outside of the UFC which you can go to watch, but if you're Corey Anderson, it's not a great fight in that way, because you don't want a little bit of tape study. You want quite a bit of tape study on a guy, so your coaches can look at it and focus. This is all about Corey Anderson closing the distance, getting the takedowns, and staying on top. If he cannot do that for 3 rounds, he's going to have a rough time, because he ain't going to outstrike Johnny Walker. I cannot see Corey Anderson outstriking that man, Johnny Walker. I think Johnny Walker's got the front kicks, head kicks, elbows, clinch work, the lot. I think he'd take full advantage in the fight. Corey needs to be able to close the distance down and keep on. Good thing for Corey, it's only a 3-round fight. It does seem that Corey's getting in the groove of things, the fight with Patrick Cummins, then Glover, and then obviously Latifi. So he's got 3 rounds in him. He can do 3 rounds, he can fight, but he's been stopped by guys on the feet who are strikers. Like, look at the Overseas Prue head kick. That was only a split moment. The two of them separated, they're standing, and a head kick comes up. So, and that was, I think, the 3rd round. Was that 3rd round, was it? I'm sure it was the 3rd round.
Was that who?
The OSP. Yeah, the OSP one, I'm sure, yeah. So even the 3rd round, if Johnny Walker even is losing the first 2, as a first round, a head kick can come out of nowhere. 6'5", 82-inch reach. The dude is a deadly kind of opposition, man. Like, Chris Weidman wanting to go into 205, like, go away fighting someone like him. He's at a height and a reach disadvantage, Corey Anderson. I'm going to go with Johnny Walker. I know he's a bit of an unknown entity in that way, and he might get just out-wrestled in this fight. But I'd like to think Johnny Walker will be able to kind of stop the takedowns, especially with elbows. When Corey Anderson shoots for the takedowns, I think elbows are there from the kind of defense up against the cage, and Johnny Walker's got that leverage and kind of reach to go there. I'm going to go Johnny Walker to get the finish on this. I think he's just going to really knock the block off Corey Anderson, and I think you've got him, Reyes, all biting for that John Jones fight, and it's going to be interesting to see how it goes down.
Yeah, it's one of those fights here that I've struggled with immensely. When I first heard about this fight, I'm like, I think Corey Anderson can win this fight. I think he's got a clear path to victory, but he may have to take some absolute damage to realise the win here in this one, because when you watch Johnny Walker, I mean, Jesus Christ, if you give that guy any opportunity to get his hands on you, you give him any space, you let that guy flow, you don't even need to give him space, actually, because he throws...
Charges down.
Yeah, he threw that hook kick against Ledet, and before you know it, Ledet's moving forward, and a spinning back fist is coming round, and then he's already on the ground, and then Walker's trying to boot the head off him, pretty much.
Oh, that was crazy, that wasn't it?
When you watch his 3 UFC fights, I mean, he uses every avenue of his striking. The plum clinch, massive. Mm-hmm. As soon as he hit Khalil with that one, Khalil wanted absolutely no more of that guy. Mm-hmm. And 20 seconds later, that fight's over. Already mentioned the Ledet fight. He throws a hook kick. You don't expect that from big guys, and he's already followed up with a spinning back kick. And then Misha Sukhanov, you could tell that knockout was coming by the way he was moving, the space that Sukhanov was giving him, and how light he was on the feet. And you could see that knee coming. The more you watch that fight, you could tell, obviously, the knee's coming, but you could see why he saw that opportunity. And when he lands it, the fight was over. And then the fucker goes and blows out his shoulder, doing a stupid celebration. But the guy's only been in the UFC for a year in November. Already this is going to be his 4th fight, and he's already had surgery. He's blew his shoulder out, and he said, what a year that's been, especially if he comes in here and wins. I like the fact he's been kind of moving around camps.
Yeah.
He was in Ireland for a little bit. I think he's finished his camp in Russia. He's been training with a lot of Russian killers out there, getting his wrestling and all that ready. But I say this every fight. It's like I've seen him knocked out before numerous times in the same fight, pretty much. But that was going on 3 years ago. The guy's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, so if this gets taken to the mat, he might show something with his submission game that we've never seen before. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. Corey Anderson here, his striking has got better as his UFC tenures went on. But I don't think his chin is the best. I think his chin has been cracked a few times. At numerous points of the fight, we've seen him knocked out in the first. We've seen him being dominant over 2 rounds and then get knocked out in the third. That's a really tough thing to really be confident in a guy like Anderson in a match like this against a guy that can literally throw anything at any point and knock you out. That's the big thing here. If he doesn't get knocked out or he doesn't get badly hurt, you think he wins this fight pretty handily. It's all about how you see the fight. If you see Walker landing, then he'll probably win the fight. If you don't, you see him getting clinched up and getting tossed around and getting laid on and dragged down to the mat, then Corey Anderson's going to win that fight. And that's the fight he wants, obviously. He wants to get you and take you down. But Walker's a lump. Walker is a big, big dude when you see him. He looks massive. He looks like an absolute freak of nature and very, very athletic. Obviously, you see the stuff from previous fights that he does after he wins.
Even on social media, have you seen the stuff he was doing, like the flying knee or something he was doing, like it was like crazy heights?
Crazy. So the guy's obviously an athletic freak. I've still got my reservations a little bit. I'm going to go with Corey Anderson here. I think he makes us dirty and he tires out Johnny Walker to the fact where he's a little bit slower. You can see his stuff coming, and then he's going to get caught up and he's going to take to the ground and just dominated through the grappling of Corey Anderson. So I've got Corey Anderson to win that one via decision now. Moving on to the main card now, and we're starting off with a great fight. Kevin Lee makes his return back down to 155 as he faces off against the undefeated Gregor, the Gift Gillespie, and
wow,
such a good fight. It really is a good fight, and I can see why people might want to be on Kevin Lee here. I'm going to come out and say I'm on Gregor Gillespie until I see him. Somebody out grapple him, stop his takedown, stop his workload, stop his work, him working through the fight, and just stop his tenacity of getting the takedowns, and just like pretty much breaking you. Then I'm going to be on Gregor's side. But now he's making a massive jump from, you don't go from Yancy Medeiros to Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee's fought for a world title. Won that first round of that world title fight against Tony Ferguson. He had a staph.
Handedly, yeah.
Had a staph infection. If he never had that, the fight might have been different because he gasped badly. I think he had a really rough weight cut. Said he didn't really want to fight 155 anymore. Fought Ali Akinta, I think, had another rough weight cut then. Wanted to move to 170, then lost to a lightweight. Let's not beat around the bush. RD is not a welterweight. He's a lightweight fighter. That's where he's fought most of his career. And he got bombed upon. Got taken out in that one. And his durability, I think, is starting to wane a little bit. He is taking a lot of shots, but he is super, super dangerous. You look at his like grappling positioning and stuff. You look at the Mustafayev fight in Belfast, I think it was. He, like, when he gets the back, it's pretty much game over, because he did that with Mustafayev, he did that with Trinaldo, he did that with Chiesa. So the guy's a master at getting the back and getting the finish from the back. Very strong. Doesn't let you breathe. Got a really good body triangle. But is he going to do that with a guy with the wrestling chops, or someone like Gregor Gillespie, who I think is as relentless as they come? I think for me, sitting here right now, there's Khabib, then there's Gregor Gillespie, and then there's Islam Makhachev that I've seen. I'd love to see Gregor against Makhachev. I think that's a great fight to make. On the feet, I think Kevin Lee probably is a little bit more slicker. Gregor just doesn't really want to fight on the feet. He knows where he wins fights. And when you watch that Medeiros fight, he did not let him breathe for 1 second. Had his arms around him, dropped down, was reaping the ankle, was like tripping him out from the bottom. Then he was moving to side control, grabbing him by the wrist, pulling the wrist out, but also pulling the leg out at the same time while holding on. Yancey was doing well to kind of move positions and not get like laid down on, but when he did, towards the end of the first and then into the second, he started to get smashed, and the ref stopped that rightfully, in my opinion. But it is a big jump in caliber. Kevin Lee's obviously coming back to 155. That's going to be tough for him. He's obviously got a new camp with Arce. Is he going to be as aggressive as he was with previous coaches? Because Arce can sometimes be a little bit defensive.
Point scoring,
yeah, and that might work out in Kevin Lee's favour, actually, if he doesn't get hit with a big shot. He might be the longer fighter. He is the longer fighter. He might use that here. I just think Greg Gillespie's going to get a hold of him. I think he will initially struggle to get him down, but I think he will wear Kevin Lee out, and eventually he's just going to keep on coming with that there. And like going about Kevin Lee's like striking, it's not great. But his chin's not all that good. He gets wobbled a lot. He got wobbled by Al. He's doing the chicken dance against Barboza in the fourth before winning in the fifth. The guy's he's got a lot of heart, very, very durable, but I still think that Greg Gillespie is going to come in here and win the fight via decision. I just think his grappling is serious. Serious. And Kevin Lee, for the longest time, has been calling out for the Khabib fight. We're going to see how he would have gone in that fight here. If he comes out here and beats Greg Gillespie, I think I've even said on here, I think Kevin Lee's the guy that could potentially give Khabib a little bit of a run. But we're going to see kind of the next kind of step in that, because if Greg Gillespie comes out here and just dominates him with the wrestling, then I think we know what Khabib would do. So I put Greg Gillespie via decision there.
Yeah, it's a fantastic matchup. Absolutely fascinating. My only worry with Kevin Lee is it's only his first camp with Arce. Yeah. And he actually went around a couple of gyms, spent a bit of time around a couple of different ones, and then finally settled with Arce. So he's still only just getting bits of information from Arce. He's not... You see it with a lot of fighters, but they need at least maybe, not 2-3 camps, but they need an extended period of time with that set gym so they can connect with that coach to bring out the best of them. We don't know how much Kevin Arce has seen. You know, we don't know if he's seen the best of him in training, if he maybe sees little holes in his game that he can maybe drill to work on. You see Kevin Lee work with GSP and stuff like that, and you know, you can't go wrong with training with killers and legends, let's say, in the game. But at the same time, it's how much of his game has changed, how much has he evolved in that period of time since the Rafael fight. I don't know if he's changed enough, because Greg is pretty much going to do what he wants to do in that respect of he's not going to work his way around Kevin Lee. He's going to keep the same kind of style, keep the same aggression. There's no need to change it. Kevin with the cut, how's he going to look on the weight cut? You know, how's he going to look on the scales? He's had trouble before. Will he have trouble again? Has he got himself walking around lighter? We don't know. We don't know yet. So for me, a big factor is if he makes weight. If he doesn't make weight, what does the UFC do? They just don't let him do 155 ever again, or whatever it is, or they tell me he has to do welterweight. I don't know why I didn't stick a welterweight myself, to be honest with you. I know we had one fight against Rafael, who was pretty much close to a title fight at 170. Do you know what I mean? I was like, losing to Rafael is no problem. Former 155 champ, motherfucker of a fighter, Rafael. You know, I would have liked to see Kevin stay there, go down the rankings in that way, and fight some of the guys, the lesser guys in the welterweight division, where he could have probably had a bit of time to grow and develop. But instead, they put him back down in the savagery division of the in the lightweights against Gregor, who is going to be relentless. It's going to be probably a tough cut for Kevin. Having a hard grappling fight for 3 rounds when you've had a tough cut is not what you want, really, is it? Let's be honest. I couldn't think of anything worse. So I'm favouring Gregor, because I think the weight cut's going to be hard for Lee. I think that Gregor's got a great condition, great gas tank, very good trips, very good grappling aspect. As much as Kevin Lee is very good on the grappling too, do not get me wrong, I think Kevin Lee is an absolute monster with the grappling, but I just think he's going to be outworked. I think he'll just tire. Later rounds will start to pay off. He might get the first, but I think Greg can easily get the second and third round with that constant pressure. And I'm on the feet, I don't think either one of them are overly spectacular, so to speak. They can hold their own, but I think Gregor will just, just have to hit on Kevin and maybe potentially wobble him to get the grappling going. So I'm going decision for Gregor Gillespie. I'll go like a 2-1, like a majority decision, but about 2-1. I think Kevin could easily get the first. He always has a good first round in him.
Mm. Yeah, like I say, it's a tough fight to choose between. I think I'm looking forward to see what more of Gillespie's seeing. Look, where is this guy in this division? Because Kevin Lee's fought a lot of good guys, tough guys from one fights. So yeah, we're going to see. Moving on to the heavyweight division, we've got the Black Beast Derrick Lewis against Blagoi, Bagat, Ivanov. Who are you leaning here?
I've got to go with the Black Beast. Only because he's got that one punch power. He can just do it any time. So Volkov was the best example. He fight Volkov was like, yeah, I've got this in the bag. I'm winning. I've got the 3 rounds. Yay. The fight's nearly over. And then just absolutely murked. Do you know what I mean? Just murked him. He's just one of those anomalies, Derrick Lewis, where he doesn't do anything crazy, doesn't do anything spectacular. He's not an athlete. Let's put it that way. He's just a big lump that can hit hard. Ivanov is kind of opposite, likes to be a bit mobile, likes to move around, likes to throw higher output, so to speak, likes to, be, because he's only 5'11", so he's not the tallest guy, but he has to use that shortness to his advantage in a way. He's got to be quick, he's got to move around a lot. He is a Sambo champ, so he's got the strike and the grappling, but I don't think he'll have much success trying to get Derrick Lewis down. I think there might be a bit of a size disparity because we've seen in the past where Derrick Lewis can actually just outmuscle the guys with the weight and get on top of them because Derrick cuts 265. So I think there's going to probably be about £30 weight class difference there. That's a big difference. I don't care what you are. If you're lifting, if you're moving, I'm a human being that's 30 pounds heavier. And again, let's be honest, Ivanov, he beat Ben Rothwell, who came back, who looked, like you said well before, he's looked awful since his ban. Absolutely terrible he's looked. I'm gutted at Ben Rothwell, if I'm honest, he looked that bad. He actually looked good before he got cut. He actually had a few good fights in him. He looked a bit of a nightmare. He's looked shocking. Then he beat Taito Ivasa. Yeah. Taito Ivasa is one of those middle-range guys as well. Beating Taito Ivasa, nothing special. I think it's a big step up for Ivanov. I think Derrick Lewis is going to be smart. He's just going to stand there in the middle of the ring, plod forward, literally plod, because that's his footwork, and just wait for that one punch and just throw it. He might throw a couple of kicks, but I don't think Derrick's going to do much more else. And I think Ivanov can get hit. He is hittable. I think when he comes in to try and throw a combination, Derrick can just throw one back and land. So I've got to go Derrick Lewis with that one-hit wonder. Get that guy out kind of thing. So I think third round, last 2 seconds of the fight, he gets the win.
It's your typical Black Beast fight. You know what he's going to do. He's going to sit back for too long. He's going to lose rounds. And then he's going to explode from somewhere and maybe knock him out. That's what seems to kind of happen with the Black Beast. He's just... His activity on the feet is, he's got power, so if he hits you with anything, you're in deep trouble. But I don't think he throws all that much. He's quite happy to sit back. You've got someone in Ivanov who's quite similar. Like, he'll sit back. I actually think he's a really good counter striker, though. And that's, I think he takes a shot very well. I think that's what his bread and butter's really been made of during his kind of career. Has been very tough, counter strikes very well, and he's got a really good chin, so he can take a hit. So obviously he's against a massive guy here in Black Beast that if he catches a fist, anything kind of fully here, he's probably going to wake up with the smelling salts out his nose. But he is the complete spoiler fighter. Blagoi Ivanov, he could, like, this could be one of these fights that there's maybe 10 strikes thrown in a round and he's just landed more than what Lewis has. Then Lewis realises in the third round that he actually has to do something, and then he could get counter-struck here by someone like Ivanov. If it was to hit the ground, then we've seen Black Beast, if he gets a top position, you're in deep, deep trouble. But I just don't see how I could see Ivanov being on his back here in a position where Derrick Lewis is on top of him. I struggle to see that here. So then it becomes a striking fight, and you've got your power against the kind of counter-striking of Blagoi Ivanov. For me, I've got Ivanov in a really kind of a bad fight. I think that Derrick Lewis can be in some of these bad fights. He was getting totally outgunned by Volkov. He was on his way to winning that fight. Got knocked out. That's what Ivanov has to worry about here. I can see Ivanov winning the first rounds. They might be close. They could go either way. Then I can see Derrick Lewis trying to turn it on and maybe getting the last round. But I've got Blagoi Ivanov here. A very kind of lackluster decision here where the crowd's going to be booing because they'll be on Derrick Lewis' side. But I've got Ivanov for the smelly, horrible, bad fight decision here. So yeah. Yeah, moving on. The Wonder Boy, Stephen Thompson against Vicente Luque. It's another really good fight here. You've got Luque finally really making that big step up to facing your top guys. I know he's faced Leon Edwards in the past, which props to Leon. Leon's went further than I was really ever giving him credit for.
Yeah,
really good fighter actually. He's putting everything together. His team's a great team. They're in Birmingham. And they're on the rise big time. So props to Leon Edwards. But then you've got Luque here who's really, like I say, he's making that step up. He's 27, 28 years old, so he needs to step up, especially after having 6 wins in the trot. And saying that, they're not massive names that he has fought since that loss to Leon Edwards. I mean, he knocked out the Prees. He should do that. Knocked out Jalen Turner. Jalen Turner had no right being in there with that guy at all.
No.
Then the Barberena fight was just a war where he was on his way to losing that fight, in my opinion. I think that he got the war that he was after, but he didn't expect Barberena to be so tough. But then he found a way to win the fight, so props to that guy for that. Took a big shot against Derrick Krantz, got taken down. Derrick Krantz just absolutely blew his load in the second half of that first round, got taken out. And then he came through an absolute war with Mike Perry. That fight would have been interesting if it was in America, who they would have gave that to, because
super tight.
Yeah, very, very close. I kind of thought maybe Perry actually kind of edged it, if I'm being honest, even though I'm a bigger fan of Vicente Luque. But now you've got Wonder Boy there, specialist, who seems to be declining a little bit. He has taken a fair amount of damage recently from the Woodley fights to getting dropped by Dan Till briefly in Liverpool. And then there's obviously the Pettis fight where he got knocked out clean for the first time, I want to say, in his entire combat career. So that's a big thing to rebound from. But in saying that Pettis fight, he was handily winning that fight. The only thing Pettis was really doing in that fight, he was landing heavy leg kicks and he was starting to kind of compromise way through that. And then Pettis does what Pettis does sometimes, leaped off the cage and caught him with not a thunderous blow, but it must have caught him clean on the chin and hit him in the perfect spot because Wonder Boy was out. But Wonder Boy's still got that style where he can fight at distance. He's got that karate style where he's in and out. He'll hit you with strikes before you can get anything off. And especially over 3-round fights, I think he's a terrible guy to face. This is his first. He faced Masvidal over 3 rounds, and Masvidal was very frustrated against him then. And then the one before that was Cote, like way back in 2014. So the guy's had 5-round fights pretty much for 5 years, 4 years. Now he's going back to these 3-round fights. I think they're better for him because it doesn't take much for him to win rounds because he does fight at distance. He lands the strikes. The other guy has to get aggressive, and when you get aggressive, he can pick you off with feinting to the sides and catch you with a left hook, feinting to the sides, catch you with a side kick. He's the type of he's a rough stylistic matchup for a lot of guys. Luque is a well-rounded fighter, great boxing, very accurate, very speedy, very powerful, great jiu-jitsu on top of that, and I think he's got some wrestling too. But his chin's been checked a few times now. If he gets hit with a decent shot here, Wonder Boy could hurt him and potentially take him out. This, to me, just reigns a Wonder Boy performance where he outstrikes him, frustrates Vicente Luque for 15 minutes, and he wins a pretty clear, not the best looking fight, but he wins a decision, in my opinion. I've got the Wonder Boy to win here, but I think for the division, I wouldn't mind seeing Luque getting a big win and jumping himself into that top 10 and being a kind of new guy in that division for people to look out for. But I've got Wonder Boy in this one here.
Yeah, it is a step up, bro. You're right, though. Big step up for Vincent. Wonder Boy's done the right thing. He took, about 7 months off since that Pettis flop. But you don't see a lot of guys taking a lot of time off when they get sparked down. As a lot of it was the banging, is when his head bounced off the mat.
Yeah.
That actually causes more than the actual blow itself. He took the time off, which was great to see. Let his body recuperate. Obviously, took time off sparring, most likely. Didn't do too much in that regard, and just took a bit of time off to let his body heal. Because you got to remember, he doesn't. He was quite. Let's be honest, quite active fighter. Stephen Thompson, and his style, like you say, he had a bit of time off when I think he had a surgery or something, but other than that, he's quite active. The Darren Till fight, there wasn't that much that landed between them in that 5 rounds, but it was like one kind of shot that kind of knocked him over, but he wasn't on chicken, like got up pretty quick.
Yeah, it wasn't hard, really, was it?
No, it was more like I think he was more moving, it landed, it just kind of knocked him off his momentum. The Tyron fight the second one was the more damaging of the two. He did take more damage, but other than that, he's not. He's a solid, smart fighter, and the guys have difficulties figuring him out. He's a hard one to fight. I think Vincent Luque will be frustrated big time in this fight. I think he'll not get this fight that he needs, which is that kind of Brian Barbereno, Mike Perry, kind of close fight where they'll be striking and throwing bombs at each other, and you land one, I land one. Stephen Thompson isn't that style of fighter. He'll land a couple and then you get to land one if he allows it, so to speak, most of the time. 3 rounds, he can get a bit more active on his feet, on the back foot. They'll be on a bigger cage as well. So that kind of favours Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in this fight because he'll have the full range of the ring to circle around and bounce around. Rather than being the smaller cage, which does initiate more action, it does initiate more strikes, landing per minute. So with the bigger cage, it does favour Stephen again. 3-round fight, he can definitely, like you say, Will, just to get him back in the win column, just to get back on that horse again, play it safe, use those side kicks that he has, the side body kicks, the side fight kick, everything that he has there with the arsenals to keep him away, and just frustrate Vincent Luque, bait Luque into the strikes. I think Luque, he's a very good fighter. He's a very fun fighter to watch. I just think Stephen's just a really pain in the arse fighter to have. I think if you're going to fight him, you just chop those legs as best you can. And I would spend my first round kicking the legs until I was knackered and hope that it slowed Stephen Thompson down to then close him down a bit to strikes. But I don't think he will. I think he'll just get frustrated by Stephen's movement and kind of body kicks, so to speak, that will just keep him off guard, and then a couple of 1-2s from Stephen, off he goes. So decision win for Stephen.
Moving on, we're at the big fights here, but if we've not had big fights before, we've got a couple of big ones here. We've got Vicente, we've not got Vicente Luque, we've got Kelvin against Darren Till, who makes his move up to 185. Much needed, I think 170 was just too much for Till. Now he's got a guy who's coming off the fight of the year, took a lot of damage in that one, not more than 6 months ago. Interesting fight, hard fight to pick, I think, but who have you got?
Well, we sit there and we'll say he took a lot of damage, which he did, but let's not forget that Darren Till got put on his arse by Woodley with just over a year ago, and then Jorge starched him in March. So Gastelum survived the fight, at least, so to speak. In the 5th round, he was a bit gassing, but remember, it's a 3-round fight, so it's not going to be so much the gassing. Gastelum is a tough dude at middleweight. He's a bad guy to fight. He's relentless. He's got great conditioning. He's fast. He's got solid striking. He's got a good chin. He has got a good chin on him, Gastelum. He can take a punch. Darren Till talking a lot. Said he's still got unfinished business at 170, which you haven't. Just stop that dream. Yeah. Don't stop being silly. I wish he'd just focus his full attention onto 185 division. I think Darren Till's got a lot of the tool sets to be a very good high-level fighter for an extended period of time. I just wish he would... I know he says, I could have took other fights, but I took this one because why not? So what if I lose and all this? So that kind of stuff bugs me a bit. I'm like, look, dude, why not just take, like you say, the Brad Tavares fight? Why not take this, like the Charles Bird fight? Why not take the certain fights in the middleweight division that aren't Kelvin Gastelum's, or even Jacare might have been a more suitable fight for him. You don't know, because Jacare's kind of a solid name, but you never know. You might have been a better option. I just think Kelvin's got the solid wrestling as well. I think Kelvin's got better wrestling than Darren Till as well. I think if Kelvin wanted to, he could try and just grapple Darren Till to the ground and just outwork him. I am interested to see how Darren does it, 185, and see how his chin holds up, see how he can take a punch, because I got a lot of confidence in Kelvin landing. He's got a Rafael Cordeiro, who's an absolute insanely good coach at striking. I think Darren needs to be smart in his fight, 3-round fight, just pick his shots, be wise, use the footwork that he's got, use the kicks, just keep that distance, make Kelvin try to chase him, because Darren's still the bigger guy in the middleweight division, height-wise, length and all that. He's got long kicks, long body movement, a lot of movement about him. So I'm still going with the fact that Darren should be very good at this weight class. I'm just going to favour Kelvin now. Feel bad going against Till, but I'm going to go with Kelvin. I think he's a bad matchup for Darren Till. I just think it's the wrong matchup. I think Kelvin could actually stop Darren Till.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity for Till. It really is. Like, he's been given big opportunities UFC, because this bonus he probably shouldn't have fought Woodley as quick.
Well, Darren, what's his name? Dana said, we pushed it too quick.
Yeah.
And then you give him Gastelum.
Then you give him...
What are you doing?
You would think if you're on Till's side now, and I know he wants to get to that belt and he wants to be the UFC champion, but what's wrong with taking a couple of easier fights and introducing yourself to the division? Like, kind of like Rob Whittaker did. Rob Whittaker worked his way up there. Yeah. Now he's been given Gastelum. He wins this fight. He puts himself right in line in that title shot spot. Puts him in there with Cannonier. Who else is there that's up there with a chance there? Romero. You put him up there. You put him right up there with the guys, because he's beat the guy who went 5 hard rounds with Izzy. Now his vulnerability showed in that fight late on, that if you can accumulate a lot of strikes in Gastelum and land those big heavy strikes, you eventually will start to drop him. You'll start to tire him. You'll start to hurt him pretty much. But like the amount of strikes that Gastelum was taking, he still wasn't out of the fight. He's still trying. He was put down a couple of times in that 5th round, and then eventually Izzy's just tenacity and overall accuracy and choice of shots really got to him. Darren Till, I still think he's going to be fucking huge at this division. Like that, we've seen that guy before. I've stood next to him and I'm thinking to myself, dude, how are you making 170?
It's like Tom Breeze.
Yeah. And
giant of a human being. Like I remember grappling with Darren, and he was probably 210, 215. Yeah. It's like, how do you... And that was before the Thompson fight. I was like, how do you get down to that weight? I was grappling with him, and I thought, I've grappled with 170s. There's no chance you're going to be keeping that weight class for long.
Yeah, and like, he's probably by fight time, he's going to be 210, 215. Where Gastelum, I know he's a smaller guy, but kind of big. He'll not be like, I want to say maybe 190, 195.
190, 195, I reckon.
So yeah, he'll still be a fair lump. But this fight here is all about, right, what does Darren Till do? Because he likes to pressure people. He did that with Masvidal. Masvidal spoke about, like, he did not expect that guy to come out and get right in his face and then put him down, and he did that. Cerrone fight, come out there, get in his face, hurt him with a shot, put him down. But we've seen, like, these shorter, faster combination strikers can hurt Till, like Masvidal did. Masvidal really started to come into that fight. Woodley, of course, like you said. But Masvidal, he started off a little bit slow in that one. Once it hit the second round, he was landing it well a little bit. And since then, like, Till kind of went off the rails a little bit. He went to Spain, he wrecked a taxi, he wrecked a hotel. And then
got another kid on the way.
Yeah, he's got another kid. I think
it's free now.
Yeah, the right choice is definitely going to 185, but is he coming back a little bit too soon? Because when he got knocked out by Masvidal, I thought, right, dude, just take a clear year off. but he's back in here at the end of the year. And the guy's a fighter at the end of the day. He's got to pay his bills, and if he gets opportunities like this, then he has to take him. He's a co-main event in a pay-per-view in New York. Huge fight here. And the ramifications of the fight, if he wins it, are huge as well. So I can see why he's taking the opportunity. I just think Gastelum's a bad matchup for him. I really do. I think Gastelum can out-wrestle him. I think he can clinch up with him. I think he can also strike with him. I think he's got super fast hands where I think he's got faster hands than Masvidal. Masvidal's got really good, crisp combination striking. But I think Gastelum, once he puts those, like he moves his feet in the right position, his hands are super quick and the power goes with it. And he hits a lot of guys. I think he's got probably some of the most knockdowns, I think, in middleweight history, actually, I believe. And he's not had all that many fights at 185 as well. He's been down at 170. So the guy's got some serious power, got the wrestling, he pressures people. It's just it's going to be kind of to see here, like, who's going to be the aggressor and who's the one that's going to be kind of standing back a little bit. Because if Till pushes Gastelum up against the cage, then I think that he could start to tee off in Gastelum a little bit. But if it's the other way around, Gastelum makes Darren Till worry about maybe getting a takedown early on, then he starts to second guess himself. I think Gastelum's going to knock him out. I think he's going to accumulate. I think he's going to get some takedowns and then he's going to knock him out with some ground and pound in some part of this fight. He's going to probably drop him, I think, and then TKO him. So I've got Kelvin Gastelum via TKO. I'm going to go kind of early third round for me there. But there's a lot of love, obviously, for Till. You can't not like Darren Till. The guy, I love his confidence, and that's something that obviously he's shown here by taking these fights and looking to get to the top. And sound guy, top guy. I wish him the best. It's kind of. I hope he wins just for the fact that if he wins, he starts bringing probably big fights back across here to the UK. If maybe London next year, if he doesn't get a title shot, he might get a big fight there. So yeah, I've got Gastelum via TKO though in that one. And the main event, the BMF title, the baddest motherfucker. Who's it going to be? East versus West. Masvidal versus Diaz. I'm just happy this fight's staying together after last week's shenanigans. What a great fight. And from the second that Nate Diaz really opened his mouth and said Masvidal's name, like, it's just been popping off ever since. And the UFC just seen dollar signs left, right, and centre. And you can see why, because Masvidal, like, his 2019 starch Till, what he did to Ben Askren. He
Leon Edwards, he beat Leon Edwards as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got 3 wins this year. Forgot about that win there. But he's got what a year he's had. Like, he's finally started to pull together, and I'm happy for a guy like Masvidal who's had to do it the hard way. I mean, he's had to really fight his way through. And this year especially, he has came into being like a top fighter, a big draw. A fighter that people really want to see. And in the past, I think he would always try to put himself out like, people love me, but this year they've come out in force, and I think it's the matchups he's had, especially the Askren one, where Askren's so, like, some people just really don't like Ben Askren. They want to see him get knocked out, get hurt, and what Masvidal done was just, it was crazy. Like, yeah, you don't see that often, so it's a special case. It's going to be the knockout of the year. Regarding something absolutely extraterrestrial going on here, and seeing something that we've never ever seen before. But we've never really seen anything like that with how quick it was. But when you match these two up, you've got the better combination striker, crisper guy in Diaz. You've got the output volume of Nate Diaz, of Masvidal, but Diaz has got all the output. He eats a lot of shots as well, but what Diaz is really good at, if he starts to establish his striking game where he's landing and he starts to punk you out a little bit, he gets in your head, and he's already making you question what you're going to do next, because he's throwing the middle fingers and he's saying, "Oh, I got you," and his length is exceptional, and he can go 5 rounds really hard. He can take a lot of damage. He's obviously, I think he's got the advantage on the jiu-jitsu side. And saying that, Masvidal's been around for many years. I'm sure he knows a trick or two being on the ground, but I don't think he'd want to be on his back against someone like Diaz with him being on top, or even someone having his back. I know that Maia had his back for long spots of that fight, and that was frustrating for Masvidal. But on the feet, I see Masvidal being quicker. I see him being more varied. I think he has to attack the legs of Nate Diaz. He doesn't check. The Diaz brothers have never checked leg kicks. If Conor McGregor, who's never, he's come out and said, like, I hate throwing leg kicks, but I knew that if I could get to the legs of Nate Diaz, I'm going to break him down across the fight, and he did that. Dos Anjos did it absolutely perfect. That's where the blueprint really came from, where you can, they just don't check it, and then they're open for combinations up top. I think Masvidal's smart enough, and I think where someone like Mike Brown in his corner is 100% smart enough to recognise that's a red zone area where he goes for it, and he goes for it hard. But he's also got very fast hands. We've seen that in the Cowboy fight with a beautiful combination. Seen it in the Darren Till fight with a big powerful shot knocked him out there. And talking about the Darren Till fight, man, him coming out and just like punting Darren Till in the dick was one of the funniest things of the year, in my opinion, as well. That was funny after like 10 seconds. You don't know what the guy's going to do in the opening segments of the fight. So, but there's a lot of respect with these two here. You can see that if Nate's calling you out, then you know you've got mad respect from kind of the Nate Diaz camp and so on. I'm a little bit worried if it goes long though, because Masvidal's got a history of losing split decisions, and if this fight starts getting close and Masvidal starts getting pushed against the cage and Diaz starts unloading, and I don't know, I still think even though he's on the East Coast, he's going to have the more fans that what Masvidal will have, even though Masvidal fights out of Florida. He might have a lot of people coming up from Florida and supporting him through that, but I still think Diaz, for the mainstay, is going to have most of the support in that arena. I could be wrong. I've got Jorge Masvidal, actually. I think that he can fight to a game plan better. I think that he can land more strikes than what Diaz can, like crisper striking, distance striking. I think Diaz has to make it ugly and really try and entice Masvidal into a brawl, because if he does that, that's, I think, a great chance for him to win the fight, because his length and his accumulation of strikes could start to slow down Masvidal. I just think Masvidal, this is his time now that he's going to come out here and really get the kind of credence that he's always really garnered, and like he's fought hard throughout the years, and this might be his biggest spot of his career in New York at MSG. I just think Masvidal could maybe knock him out, but I've got him over 25 minutes to win this fight here. I'm really looking forward to it, though. I know there's a lot of people on either side. There's obviously Diaz brothers are stupidly popular, like crazy. But like, I remember seeing them in Vegas, and the people they had around them was crazy. Yeah, I've got Masvidal, though. That Masvidal's going to be my pick here.
Yeah, it's a fun fight. Very fun indeed.
Yeah.
Minus the stupid title, but yeah, I want to echo what you said. The blueprint is the leg kicks. Masvidal's got leg kicks. He's got good kicks on him. He's used them before in the past. He just has to set them up with the kicks, the combinations and kicks together. Just pick away at Diaz in that way. It's not rocket science. I know there's such a thing as being, I'm going to just stand toe-to-toe, but why bother risking? Because he gets a win here, it projects him even further, it probably gets him whatever he wants next in a fight. Not a title fight, but at the same time, it gets him a huge fight again. It's all about the paychecks at the end of the day. I would go with that. I would go leg kick for the first 2 rounds. I would rip that calf up on Diaz. Rip it up. And that's it, because if you look at the Michael Johnson fight, Diaz was just coming off the worst at the start, and then suddenly got his range, and then he was starting to pick apart Michael Johnson, and he started to get that confidence around him. You don't want Diaz to get that confidence. Just chop those legs away, start really getting into that fight, and start really using it to your advantage. I think, like you said, he's had too many split decisions, or too many losses in decisions, Jorge, to really bother to let that keep happening. Like, Mike Brown has got to say to him, we've got to stop losing these stupid, and they are stupid decisions. You know what I mean? There's no doubt about it. It's just stupid. I think that Nate Diaz will come out. He won't fight any different than he has done ever before. I think he'll fight the way he did against Conor. Strike. He won't go for a takedown because he's got 0 wrestling, so there's no fear of a takedown coming out there. I do think I've got Masvidal as well, mate. I can't say any much more other than I think that he'll chop the legs down. The game plan will be the ATT way: get the legs, get the strikes in on from like the second, third round onwards. Then start to throw your combinations because Diaz will be a more stationary target. But at the same time, get yourself out there just so you're not getting hit back by the returns. That's pretty much it, really. I think decision win for Masvidal.
Yeah. So that's our fights for 244, our predictions for 244. That's us all kind of went through all that. We're going to talk a little bit about the betting lines and where I'm going to be going. Like I say, if you've had bets for this card, if you have strong leans and you want us to know about it, let us know in the drop down box. Let us know what bets you're putting on this weekend. And I wish each and every one of you all the best with your bets this week. Like I say, I've already mentioned the one that I have, which is Julio Arce at plus 125. I just think it's a pick and fight, and there's a little bit of value at that. Like I said in the prediction about it, I think it's a close fight, could go either way. I like being on the Arce side in this one here, but I know there's some well-respected guys that I know that are on Dawoodu, so it's just a toss-up and see who comes out on top. Either win or lose, you kind of learn by reading stuff in these close fights here. So like I said to John before we started talking about all these fights, like there's a lot of close picking fights. It's a hard fight card for betting, in my opinion. But if you have good, strong leans, like for me, this isn't a parlay card at all, because they're so well matched that I think straight plays is the way to go, or fight doesn't go the distance, or some props like that. But I mean, like Masvidal minus 165, I think that will come down. I think money will come in Diaz. So if you can get anything, I think under minus 150, I think that's not a bad bet on Masvidal. I don't know whether I want to go there though. Till he was up at plus 200 at one point over the weekend. Now he's plus 155, so more money's been coming in Till than Gastelum. But I would like a better line on Gastelum minus 175. Again, under minus 150 might be a play. Wonderboy is one I'm looking at very closely because I think Wonderboy via decision is another bet, a prop bet. I don't think it'll be a bad one. I don't know what that is in America. Is it out yet, actually? Thompson wins by decision plus 125. So I would like a little bit more on that. But yeah, I know there's going to be some people betting on Luque. Some people that I know that will be on him for that. I would like a better line in plus 110 if I'm being honest. Blagoi Ivanov minus 125. Derrick Lewis plus 105. I think that people will be on Derrick Lewis. I think more money will come in Derrick Lewis over the fight week, honestly. I think that he's got that much popularity with social media. And once it starts to get into full flow with fight week, people will start betting him up. Where Blagoi Ivanov might have a plus number beside his name before the fight time. If that happens, then I might have a little bit of a shot on Ivanov to win that one. But again, it's probably best just to pass because you could be looking like you're winning that bet, and then 2 seconds later he's been knocked out and he's looking at the lights, so he can never know with that one there. Gillespie, Lee, I want no part of, minus 160, plus 145 Lee, that's what I'm just going to sit back and thoroughly enjoy as a fan. Corey Anderson, plus 130, Johnny Walker, minus 150. I said this to a good friend last night. He texted me and he's like, Johnny Walker minus 150, do you think he gets low? And I would honestly be a little bit surprised if it got lower than that. Again, I think once fight week kicks in, I think that people will start to bet Johnny Walker, and the Anderson will be a little bit, quite a bit of value actually, I think, on Corey Anderson, because he has a clear path to victory in my opinion. But I don't know whether it's a fight, because again, it could be you put money down in Anderson winning 2 rounds and then he ends up getting knocked out like the OSP fight, and that's happened to me before because I bet Anderson in that spot as well. Amirkhani is a straight value play, I think, at plus 210. I think the line should definitely be a little bit closer than that. I think he can get takedowns, but like I said, I don't really want any part of that. Tavares, Shahbazyan, plus 105 for Tavares, minus 125. Shahbazyan, actually, was that minus 110 I said earlier on? I think it was. So some money's came in Shahbazyan there. I don't really want anything to do with that fight. I don't want anything to do with Arlovski Rozenstruik. Not at 25. No. You would want more. You want more than Andrei Arlovski, in my opinion. There. Don't want anything to do with the chick fight. Rencountre, I think at one point last week was plus 130, now plus 105. I think if you got the plus 130, that's a good value. Lyman good minus 125. I think that, like I said, I think that closes a pick'em. So it's going to be, if you see value on the other side, then go for it. And then, like I said, I'm on Arce to beat Dawodu, but there's value in both sides, in my opinion. But not a parlay card, not unless you've got strong leans. I think the people that are good at prop bets, not like I'm not. I'm absolutely dog shit at prop bets. But if you can find the distance, you might get some bigger odds. And stuff like that. So for me, this is a straight pick play. I'll probably have three good plays. Probably I like Luque Thompson. He's sticking in my mind this week. I think that he's got an opportunity to really win over a 15-minute fight. Pretty convinced, actually. And then other dogs that might stick out. Someone like it's hard though. It's so hard. Like maybe Anderson. I feel kind of tempted to bet him if the line gets bigger. I would like over plus 150 if I was going to even think about betting it. If I could get plus 175, then I would 100% be in for that. But I doubt it even gets that high. So yeah, that's my picks there for like some talk a little bit about betting for 244. But it's a tough fight card.
Yeah,
you have to tread carefully if you're betting this one here. In my opinion,
sometimes it's not worth it.
Yeah, sometimes
it's worth leaving.
Sometimes you try not to push bets and
try
and don't force them. That's what I was trying to say there. But close fights. But we've got a whole fight week to kind of look at stuff, so your opinions might change a little bit, and you might see value in some lines. So
guys don't make weight and stuff like that. All things can happen during weight day as well.
100%. So that is UFC 244 in the books. Like, comment, subscribe, guys. Leave your opinions, leave your posts, leave your picks down below. And we appreciate all the support week in, week out. There's a lot of good guys out there that sit and watch our stuff, and we appreciate that for sticking with us an hour and a half at times. And we're in a serious run of fights here, where I'm looking forward to these next two fight cards being done, having 3 weeks off, which is going to be nice. Then a couple of big cards to finish the year. And from what I'm hearing, we're going to have a full month off.
Whoop, whoop.
From just before Christmas to like when McGregor supposedly coming back January 18th. So, like I say, it's a lot of work putting week in, week out, and we've managed to get it done. We've only got a couple more cards before a little break, which is going to be nice. I'll be honest, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So, until next week, we're back for
Russia.
The beat.
Mother Russia.
Oh, yeah, I really wish that fight was over 5 rounds, because I would probably have been on the Qatar side, but I think over 3 rounds, I just think it's made for Zabit. So
yeah, it changes, doesn't it? Yeah.
But I'm going to look forward to actually watching some tape on those guys in the next couple of days there. So until next week, guys, we appreciate the support. All the very, very best, and good luck with your picks. Please, DraftKings picks, whatever you're doing this week, all the very, very best, and I hope you'll cash and make some good money. All the best.